All right. We are back in the building, y'all. Welcome back to the latest edition of the Excuse Me, Brother podcast show. I'm your host, Brother Jay, and we back again. So who's with me tonight, y'all?
No one's with you, honestly.
You're by yourself.
I'm
Sorry.
Dolo, riding Dolo.
Like the Bronx native you are. But I am Brother Tay.
I'm producer Jay.
And guys, how you been? We took off a week. We kind of broke our streak, but it was for a good reason. Trying to finish up the holiday season and whatnot. So how y'all been?
I got no complaints. I've been fantastic, honestly.
Fantastic.
Been pretty good.
I guess we can say Happy New Year. I mean, is it really the new year? Are we going there?
All right, let's. You're really gonna question this?
Yes.
Like, of all things,
Mhm.
you're gonna question if it's actually a new year.
I mean, it depends on what calendar you're following.
That's another thing.
If you're following
But what calendar do you follow?
If you know history, and this is just history, every culture before Hellenism became a thing, right? They started the new year in the spring. Why? Because that will signify the earth coming back to life, at least on this side of the hemisphere. It wasn't until the Romans showed up that's when we started celebrating the new year in January, because they want to honor their god's Janus, the two-faced god. So they changed the new year from March to like January, and they added 2 months to their calendar. So yeah, we following Roman customs all over again. That's all it is. In fact, that's where you get April Fools from, because people were still celebrating New Year in the spring and whatnot, and people will call them April Fools. So, little history for y'all.
Today I learned.
You're welcome.
I guess. Thank you.
You're
I guess
welcome.
I mix up for the thing you did earlier today.
You'll be all right.
No, not for nothing. That does make sense, considering like winter spreads in between the new year, so it would make more sense to celebrate it when it ends.
What do you mean?
Like harvest-wise?
Because winter, like the 4 seasons, it makes sense to end it at the beginning of the first season of the new season,
like
instead of having it in between.
I get it, because like winter technically, the start of winter is from December. It's in December. I'm thinking the winter solstice. I could be wrong, but the start of winter starts like December,
Yeah,
and then it ends March 21st. So in retrospect, it makes sense to celebrate the new year when the winter season officially ends, because then we start the 4 seasons over again, from spring, summer, fall, and winter. Then again, the seasons itself is a weird thing too. We don't even really name the seasons.
Because we don't, but certain astronomical events occur, like the equinoxes, the solstices, that kind of change the weather pattern, so you know where you are in the season. The certain signs in the moon, in the stars and the moon and things like that. That's what they're for. You know what I'm saying? These things are made to give us signs and stuff. But like I said before, it was just
too to heart.
Huh?
Okay.
Some people take it too to heart.
Oh,
like
straight up,
astrological
100%.
signs.
I mean astronomical, not astrological. You know what I mean? Yes, there's a difference.
Okay.
There's a difference between astronomy and astrology. Yes, there is.
But all right, you're right.
No, it's just
season's the first season.
But it sucks because up here at least in New York City, we can't see none of these stars and stuff. You can
Depends
see
on where you are.
but you might see us in the city.
In the city,
it depends on where you are.
It's hard.
You said New York
to see.
Well, you just said
you said New York City.
You did, but there are certain parts in New York City that you actually can see stars. Brooklyn, like there's some part in Brooklyn, some parts in the Bronx where you can see. It's mostly like really dark. Yonkers, you can definitely see some stars depending on where you are. Manhattan, no,
that is
can't
true.
see nothing in Manhattan.
Not a goddamn thing. But my point was that certain constellations you see in certain seasons and let you know what season that you're in. You know what I mean? Certain things would happen. You get an equal amount of night and day. That's what equinoxes are, obviously. The solstices is shortest day of the year, longest day of the year, blah 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 blah. But these things taught us when the new year actually began, when the seasons would change, and then the white man came and said, "No, we're gonna do it this time because we say so,
Yeah,
and we're empowered." So, little
that's
history
usually how
lesson
it
for y'all
goes.
before we start. Yeah,
It's always
that's usually how it goes.
it is normally the white people's fault.
um, but this year, so the year I'll say has started. It's been a little strange, in my opinion.
Strange.
Yeah, it's
How so?
strange.
For you or just
So,
in total?
Yeah.
well, I'll say for me, I can only speak for myself. Um, guys, I'm still on jury duty, and that's
Still?
yes,
Yo.
4 weeks, four
Good.
weeks, bro,
Let's go.
4 weeks.
Send all them
If I
cases to
was on a
trial.
trial, right? If I was a trial juror, these things would take as long as it needs to before the case gets resolved, right? But since I'm only a grand juror, it's 4 weeks, right?
Hmm.
And boy, I tell you, the first case we got when we went back into session on Tuesday was just
A
I
mess.
can't I obviously I can't talk about it, but it
No, you
is
can't. You can't
crazy.
really.
It's
Stress.
wild. I mean, I'll tell y'all once the case actually goes to trial,
You
but
can't say what it is, like what kind of case it
Don't
is.
say. You can tell us. Not right now. Don't do it on the podcast. I don't want you to get in trouble.
Well,
right, I can't.
obviously.
Right,
Okay.
I can't do it on air, but I'll tell
Yeah.
you, I could talk about it in a way. But it kind of just like threw us all for a loop. And I'll tell
What's-
y'all one thing: there was video involved.
Oh my god.
Oh, like
Yeah,
public video?
Oh, that's fantastic.
no, no,
Oh.
but yeah.
Oh my
Um,
god.
so that
Oh greatness.
that kind of messed us all up. It messed all of us up. You know what I mean? And like I said, that's how the year started. You know what I'm saying? It was the
I-
first case that they presented to us on Tuesday, and it kind of it made us all sick to our stomach. So that was
Oh,
one thing, and
that bad.
then yeah, yes, yeah. When I'll tell y'all about it later. At a later time. It
More
was
conversation
that,
to have.
and then yo, that was just a culmination of a 15-hour period where I was just scratching my head and in a different world because I'm like, yo, how did this happen? So that's kind of what we're gonna go into tonight, as y'all know. You know, so I would, like I said, went to court Tuesday morning, but we have to talk about what happened Monday night during the Monday night football game. We got to talk about it. You know what I mean? Um,
Honestly,
Bill
you would.
safety Damar Hamlin. What happened?
Oh, honestly, there's a thing of I don't know if we're gonna get into it. But there's something that happened with this situation as you're going to speak about it that really pissed me off. Honestly, well, a few things about
Okay,
it.
so we
Honestly,
probably we
well,
we
we'll
probably
get
are going to
into
talk
it,
about it.
all of us.
We're probably going to talk about it. I think I know what you're talking about, but I want to let you go there.
hmm
But as we all know, Bills safety Damar Hamlin was playing in the Monday night football game against the Bengals in Cincinnati, and about midway through the first quarter, right? Tay? I think it
hmm
was the first quarter.
it was the first quarter.
Um, he was tackled by T. Higgins of the Bengals.
No, 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 no.
Um,
False. He tackled T Higgins.
he was he tackled T. Higgins,
Yeah.
right? T. Higgins kind of ran into him, but he tackled him. He got up and then immediately collapsed on the field and had to be administered CPR. They had to revive him. And they took him out in the ambulance. They took him to UC Medical Center in Cincinnati, uh, in what they called cardiac arrest. And it just shook up the entire league, and the entire sport was just in shock and awe as basically this kid died on the field and had to be brought back to life. And one of the things that I've seen
Twice.
twice, yeah, they said he died on the field once. He had to be
Yeah,
was revived once on the field and in the ambulance on the way
he
to the
died.
hospital.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So one of the things that I've heard constantly throughout the entire ordeal is that no one has ever witnessed something like this happen through all the injuries that football, that's part of the game and whatnot. No one has ever seen anyone just collapse and basically die on the field and have to be admitted to CPR. So Tay, I want to ask you, since you've actually played football, right? Um, have you ever witnessed any kind of injury or any kind of occurrence on the field, any kind of medical emergency, whether it was during a game or practice, where you was just like, yo, I like it kind of messed you up?
There was a yes, actually. So I want you to know the honest truth about that tackle that was a patient. I actually have done a tackle like that where a player has ran into my chest and like you're taught to roll with them. So that tackle was very standard.
Mm,
It's an unfortunate thing that happened. But yes, when I was playing football in high school, my teammate, we were blocking for a return, which the return went for a touchdown. Unfortunately, on the other end of me, my teammate was trying to block another player, and they ran headfirst into each other. And when they both fell down, like not headfirst, they just ran into each other. They both fell down. Like he got
Yeah.
like the other player got up from the other team. My teammate got up. He pretty much pulled. I don't know if you've seen it, but he pretty much did like almost like a Tua, where like he got up and
mm-hmm,
tried to make it to the sideline, and then he collapsed again. It was
mm-hmm,
diagnosed that he had a concussion. So like we took him. He didn't play anymore. We didn't know he had a concussion until the next day in practice. And then
mm,
actually a teammate of mine's, a friend. I'm not going to say his name, but he actually separated and broke his shoulder in a practice where the ambulance had to come on the practice field during one of our summer practices and take him away. I didn't see this. I wasn't there because he was a linebacker at the time. But I remember I
mm-hmm.
used to walk home with him all the time. And I remember I got undressed and I took off my pads and everything. I was like, where's my bro? Like, we supposed to go home. They're like, oh, he's in the hospital. His shoulder's, like, he broke his shoulder. He separated it. I was like, what? They're like, yeah, didn't you see the ambulance? I was like, that's what that was for? So, I'm no stranger. I'm no stranger to injuries. I have a ton of injuries on my own list, from broken hands to
Name
broken
some.
shoulders. I dislocated my
Mm.
shoulder 3 times. I've broken 3 fingers. I tore an ACL actually,
Really?
or
Yeah, I
I
remember you telling
tore.
me that.
Yeah, I was a tore meniscus or ACL. I separated my shoulder at Target. If you weren't there, I
I remember
separated
this
Oh
too.
wait, hold on.
Yes,
I think I remember
separated my
this. Oh
shoulder
no,
at
wait.
yes, I
Target and
remember.
popped it back in, and then finished the.
Was this when I was
Mm-hmm.
there?
You weren't. It was a late night shift. You weren't there. It was before like I got to the market, but you were working at the time. But I
Oh,
separated
okay.
my shoulder. I remember the next day. I think I couldn't go to work the next day, and I came in with a sling to hand in a note saying I can't work for the
Mm,
next 3 days. And oh
mm.
my god, I'll always remember Andre. I said her name wrong, but
Andres.
then I gave her the letter. She's like, "So you working today?" And I was like,
Andrelis.
"I don't."
I'm think
I was about
I'm
to. I was
thinking
about to drop kick
Andre.
somebody.
Yeah, no, I would have been pissed too. Fuck
Yeah,
that.
like I have a whole.
I would have looked at them in the face and be like,
I
"Goodbye."
have a whole. I have a whole separated
Like you
shoulder. I have a whole
see,
sling. I can't
right?
lift anything.
Like you don't see
Yeah, it's like,
my
do
arm.
you
It
not
is,
see?
I was like,
and
she
you
was like, "Well,
expect me
people." It's like
to.
I'm a backroom member. She's like, cashiers do it all the time. Do I look like a cashier?
Right?
Oh
Evelyn,
man.
I don't do cashier things. Y'all make me carry heavy furniture. Fuck out my face. But no, I'm very used to injuries. Actually, you want the honest truth? This is the first time that it's happened on the football. It's not actually the first time it's happened on a football field. There have been players who actually died on the football field from a heart attack. But they're
Right, but I
actually
think I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no. There was actually a hockey player that took a puck to the chest on a slap shot, and he had cardiac
Mm.
arrest on the ice. He
Oh,
was a
Oof.
he was lucky enough. This happened in like 1990 something, 1990s. He was lucky enough, like him, that he actually survived, but he also went through the same complications where they did CPR on him as well.
Mm.
And he messaged the person on Twitter. He's like, as someone who went through this, I wish him the best of luck, and hopefully he's able to function like I am now. But
Mm.
if anything,
You
if
know,
good news, he is approved though.
yeah, he has improved. He's awake. I think he's still,
Yeah.
I think he's still intubated,
There,
but
he's
you
intubated to
know,
keep him monitored, but he is able to
right.
write. He's writing now. He's able to communicate now. He can read it. The fun. You want to know how much of a football player that kid really is? The 24-year-old man is.
He asked him, who won the game. Yeah,
This motherfucker.
Oh
That was
my.
his first question when he got back. He woke up. He was like, "Who won the game?" And the doctor was like,
right,
"You won. You won the game of life, my G."
You're right.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you won, dude, my man. So no, seriously, because it's like, I honestly, I did not think he was gonna make it. I was just waiting for that alert on my phone to be like, "Yo, he passed away." You know what I'm saying? Like he didn't make it. I was waiting for it. You know what I mean? Because when you talk about cardiac arrest, you know that means your heart stopped beating. Like it's
Yeah.
different from a heart attack where you know your heart is just struggling to pump blood, or arrhythmia where your heart is out of rhythm. Like, dude, his whole heart stopped beating. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So
people will arrest you for
Scary.
that. Like they will literally keep you on. It's good that they have him in place so it doesn't happen again. But man, that can really take everything. His mom was in the stands to that too. His whole family
yo,
watched that.
so can you imagine? Can you imagine as a parent, you know, you traveled to watch your son play in one of the biggest games of the year, really, and your son is
Yeah.
starting in the game, and then next thing you know, your son is having they have to perform chest compressions in the middle of the field in front of 80,000 people on national television.
Honestly,
Traumatizing.
I can't imagine. Like it's trauma.
It's
That's traumatizing people who had to watch it, and it's traumatizing people who was at the stadium, and it had to be much worse for his teammates and the
Oh, you
players.
yeah,
see
because
how
they were right around him.
I,
you saw how everybody was on the field just not in good spirits at all. Like dudes was crying and in shock, and they were like, "Yo, like we've never seen anything like this," you
yeah,
know. And
it's
I
a
think I think the team waited to leave because remember they suspended the game.
oh no
The league suspended the game.
the worst part, which I don't think anyone knows, is that once this happened, the NFL, the league, told the refs to let the teams know, like we can continue playing in another hour, and the coaches were like,
No,
no.
so apparently the NFL EVP, I forgot his name, but he actually said he came out and said, no, that's not true. That we never considered actually resuming the game 5 minutes or whatever it was. He said
Yeah.
that report was false.
Okay. I'm
They
glad that
they had no, yeah.
That's good.
because like, you can there's like the camera shows like the coaches and the ref talking about it, like talking. I'm guessing they were just
Mhm.
coming to agreement, like yeah, we're not doing this. Like this is over.
Right, right.
And
Like
the
we
coaches
can't
just took
continue to
handshake
play.
and was like, yo, we out. Like there's
And
no
then you
way.
So
saw
was that
how
game like? Was it just a no contest, or was it a tie, or what?
I'm in the fan of most likely it ended up as a tie because it was 6-6 at the time. So most
it
likely
was
I
actually
don't.
7-3 Bengals.
No, it showed when I looked at the score, it showed 6-6. So you could be right. I don't know.
So maybe they
I
just changed it
believe.
to a tie. I
I
don't know.
mean, I
So
honestly,
the league
personally,
has
I'd
it,
rather just give them the whatever the score was. I'm ending it there. I'm like, I'm not playing this.
I feel
so
like they should just throw it out.
if I'm not mistaken, the league has officially decided to not resume the game and just continue
So it's
with
just
the
no
rest.
contest.
Either
Uh,
no contest or you give the Bengals the win because they were leading
Like
when
that
Stay
was
was
the end of
stopped.
the
yeah, like
game. That was
I'm
it.
more of a, like whatever the score, whatever it was, you want to do whatever you want to do. The game's just not going on no more. That's just the fact.
Right. They're not going to resume the game.
I feel like
So
it's not. Whatever.
I want to ask you guys a few questions, especially since I want to speak to the athlete in Tayshawn and I want to speak to the father in Jeremy because I'm like I didn't play organized football. You know what I mean? I played schoolyard football when I was in middle school. And even then I walked away with some injuries, bro.
You
Like I
always
walked away with
middle school
bruh,
football
you
was
know how
fun. That shit was
schoolyard
rough
football
though.
is.
Yeah,
Yo, no pads, no helmets, we just bear hug. You know what I'm saying? There were two separate occasions where I came home with black eyes. You know what I'm saying? I came home with black eyes from playing football
You want to know
in
the
the
funniest
schoolyard.
thing? I actually ended up with a bruise on my ribs from playing school football because one of my
See?
classmates pushed. We were playing in the gym and he pushed me into the stage so I wouldn't catch the ball. I still caught it, but
God
I had bruised wrists
damn.
the rest of the week.
Yo, you
Damn.
could have broke one,
Right?
depending on how hard he pushed you.
It could have happened. I was also in the air, so it's a lot more worse than really. It's a lot worse.
Jesus Christ, man. But yeah, dude. So I like I said, I didn't play organized football, but I played schoolyard football. So I came home with some injuries. So my question to you as an athlete, Tayshawn, was: do you believe that all the physical trauma that NFL players endure, since especially in this even in this day and age, even though we're like the most medically advanced that we've ever been, all the physical trauma, even with the discovery of CTE and the constant surgeries of broken bones, because football players are tough. You play
Mhm.
through injuries all the time. These football players play through injuries that most other athletes won't even bother. You know what I'm saying? So my question to you is: do you think that the physical trauma is worth it? You know what I'm saying? Do you think it's worth all the money that they get, all the accolades, the fame and the glory? Does that mean anything to you?
To me, I gotta. To me personally, it really depends. Because I can see, like, we're talking about this. We're talking about I'm going to mispronounce his name. I'm so sorry. So I'm not going to try it.
Hamlin.
Hamlin. But like, you gotta understand, there's other players like Josh Jacobs who, like, before he even got to football, him and his dad lived in a car for all his life until he made it to the NFL. So some of these players, like, this is all they really got. Like, this is the only thing they can get to put their family in a position where none of their family, like, they're in a position to get more wealth. Like, some of these players, like, I know it's unfortunate. Like, as a personal thing, like, if they come from like our kind of background where our family is safe, like, people got jobs and stuff, I'm a personal fan of saying not really. It's not really worth it because, like, you can find other jobs and your family can support you to help you get to make sure, like, everyone is financially stable. But when you come from neighborhoods or you come from the hood where, like, or you're homeless to begin with, and like the football, you playing any sport, you doing boxing, because that can also lead to you dying. There's been people who died boxing matches live in the ring. UFC fighters that die, that sometimes can die. When you got to that point where, like, it's either you make it or you and your family is going to remain homeless or in this dangerous neighborhood where your mom can die grocery shopping at any given day. I got at a certain point you got to think it's personally, you think psychology, you convince yourself is worth it so you can put your family in a so much better place than they never thought they could be. But I'm of the personal idea that I am a football player. I also have some issues in my brain. Like, you can get CTE from playing high school football. I'm pretty sure. Like, you hit the way I talk. My friends will tell you I don't talk well about myself anytime. So if you ask me personally, if you gave me the choice that if I made it this way and I can give all my friends $1 million, I probably would take that offer too. So I'm of the fan of saying yes, most likely.
So, producer, you want to get in on this question right here?
About, like, for me personally?
So like, if you were presented
I want
with
you to know, as a
the
father, I would definitely push. If my kids want to play sport, I definitely would push them to, like, any, like, baseball or basketball, or even football or soccer or track and field. I would probably take them.
so
I
I'm
would
gonna
want them as far as away from the other sports.
I'm gonna ask him that later. I'm gonna get into that with producer Jay later. But even like, do you think that just from, I know you don't watch that much football, Jeremy, but
I don't watch any
from what you've
football.
seen,
Let's be honest.
okay, but you know enough about the sport to be like, damn,
Yes.
is it really worth it? You know what I mean? Like, because
Yes.
we see that players don't really have much success post career in terms of health, especially if they play for back in the older days too. You know what I'm saying? Like, the rare few that still got it all together. Like we have some of the ESPN analysts who played the game and
Shannon
still have all their faculties together. Shannon
Shannon
Sharp,
Sharp,
Marcus
Deion
Spears,
Sanders,
Ryan Clark, these guys, Ray Lewis, guys
Ray
who are at the
Lewis,
top of their craft too.
Ray Lewis, and Ryan Clark are lucky. Honestly, the way they played, I can't imagine the pain they must go
So
through every day.
here's an interesting thing about Ryan Clark. He almost died too because he has sickle cell. He has a sickle cell trait, and it makes it hard for him to play at high altitudes. So he almost he almost died because the trait kind of like kicked in when they went to Denver a few
I was
years
gonna say
ago,
like it gotta be
and
when
he
they
had to
go
be
play in these places.
hospitalized.
Oh no!
Yes. So when he went to he had like this severe pain in the side, and that trait kind of like kicked in where he had blood clots and whatnot. He had to have his spleen removed. I think he said the spleen and his gallbladder or something like that. So he almost died. You know what I mean? Now that's in addition to all the physical trauma and just the hardships of playing football. Now that he's post career, he's an NFL analyst. He's damn good at what he does. He has a podcast himself
There's a show.
with two other. It's a very good show.
I love that
Shout out to
show.
the Pivot Podcast. Shout out to them. They do wonderful work.
Hmm.
So my thing is like, is all this really worth it? Because the NFL doesn't care about their players. I have to say, of all the professional sports leagues, they care the least about their players, and it shows. I mean, it shows.
Yeah. I mean, personally, I never saw the appeal of wanting to play football professionally.
Mm,
I always thought it was a bad idea, and just like Tayshawn said, well, he didn't say it, but like it takes physical toll on you.
mhm.
And I know some people might be in a desperate situation. They might feel differently about it. They might see it as worth the pain, worth the trauma that comes with it. Um, Personally, I never saw the appeal. I thought there were other sports that were just as high paying and less strenuous on the body. And I feel like football specifically has had the most um I want to know the word. I guess breakthroughs when it comes to understanding how like it affects the players.
Mm.
Because I feel like with other sports, it's just like whatever. Like they play the sport, the same way for decades. Whereas with football, I feel like every 5 years we're finding something new about the brain, about like muscle and all that stuff, and if how much gear can you wear that's actually protective, and what's actually protecting the head and all that stuff. So I don't think it's worth it in my opinion.
So with that being said, Tay, you want to say something?
Nah, it's like I feel like he's right. Every like month, every year, we're finding out like, oh, and every year they're like, oh, we redesigned these equipment, or we did this, we did that. Always
Right.
something new that they say they came up with
So
to improve players' safety as they. Oh, whatever.
okay, before I ask producer Jay the question that I want to ask him, Tay, when you played football, you played football in both high school and college, right?
No, I played in high school, and I got an offer to go play in a school to play D2 football in Virginia. I did not take it up.
Okay, so when you played in high school, did you feel that the school did a good job at making the game as safe as possible for you? And B, do you feel that the equipment that y'all used, the PPE, the pads, the helmets, everything, do you feel that it was adequate enough for you to feel safe when you played on the field?
Honestly, no, not even close. You want the honest truth? Like you, part of you feel. I'm not gonna lie to you. When you put the helmet on, a part of you feels like, yeah, I could run through a wall. But once you actually hit someone, like as someone, I played on the defensive line, so I was a lineman. I was always like hitting somebody. As soon as you take like your first hit, you're like, this helmet's not great.
Mm.
Like it's padded and everything, so like it doesn't, but like you still feel all the effects.
Mm.
Like your head hurts. Like if you get hit in the head, your head hurts. You get hit anywhere, like getting hit in the chest. You have a full shoulder pads that covers like the shoulders and the chest and the back. You still feel that pain if you get hit in the chest.
Mm.
It's not something that's just gonna go away in 20 seconds.
Well, it's funny because when I played lacrosse, lacrosse is only similar to football in the sense that it's a lot less physical,
It's a lot
but
less.
still you have helmet and you have a face guard and you have shoulder pads that cover your entire torso, mind you, your torso, your shoulders, and your upper arms, and then you have arm pads and you have big gloves that look like hockey gloves. You know what I mean? But
Yes.
even in the sense of lacrosse, I felt that if I got hit in the head with something, whether it be the stick or the ball, or if I just ran into somebody, I didn't feel like, oh my god, I'm gonna like my head hurts or anything like that. And I got hit a few times. I've gotten bowled over. I've gotten whatchamacallit, I got screened a few times. So, but
What?
I think it's weird. Yeah. So like you said, a screen for somebody like in basketball, you
No, no.
said a pick and roll.
I've actually. So my football coaches were also the coaches for lacrosse in high school, and they tried to make
Right.
me play. They tried to make me play lacrosse. Like I picked it up a little bit. I just didn't. I just didn't fully commit to it. But
Oh, that's fair.
It's something about because like when I always compare football to rugby from time to time because it's almost like the same. But it's
Hmm.
something about when people put on football pads for some reason they feel like they can just go to you at 100% and think there'll be no consequences. Lacrosse, like I feel like when I see lacrosse players, like they still set screens, like same thing for NBA players and stuff. But
Hmm.
for some reason, when I look at it, it's like okay, he got screened, but like it doesn't look like he died. Like you know what I mean?
And that's also part because that's also in part because of the rules of lacrosse. Like the rules of lacrosse, you can't just barrel somebody over. You know what I'm saying? In lacrosse, there has to be a certain amount of distance between you two and the ball before you can, and you can't just you just basically you just can't barrel dudes over in lacrosse. But even if you did, even if that was the case, something were to happen, like in that type of situation, you're protected
Mm.
somewhat. You know what I'm saying? So the impact is a little bit less. Um, Producer Jay, what I wanted to ask you was because you said that you don't feel like football is worth it. The trauma and the health stuff that you don't think that is worth it, right?
Yeah.
Seeing what happened on Monday night and generally over the last, I'll say about 15 or so years, we've seen a lot of football players who've committed suicide, and then we learn about CTE and everything that comes along with it, the physical traumas that these men endure post career. You know what I mean? The lifespan of a football player, of an NFL football player, believe it or not, guys, is only 59 years old.
I know. I'm
You know what I mean?
waiting.
That's crazy, right? If the average lifespan of an NFL player is 59 years, you have two boys, right? And I asked this question on my personal Facebook account. You have two boys, and I believe your oldest is 11.
No, my oldest is 8.
If would you let him play football? Either one of them, would you let them play football?
Uh, See, that's
Ooh, that's,
it's tough. Honestly, if it were up to me, like I obviously, like if I had final say, I'd probably strongly advise against it. But it's one of those things where I don't want to interfere with who my sons are going to be.
Mm-hmm.
I can only give them suggestions. I can give them guidance. I can give them my experience and my thoughts. But when it comes to like what they want to pursue in their life, it becomes a little bit more difficult for me to be like, no, you're not doing that. Um, so if would I allow it only if they like that was like their absolutely like number one thing they wanted to do in their life. But even then I would be like hard on them with everything that comes with it. and I would tell them all the facts that you just said about like the average lifespan and all the injuries that could come up. I would bring up this as an example, like all this stuff that comes with being a professional football player.
You will have to.
I would I would bring it up and I would tell them this is what you're signing up for.
Mm,
So please make the right decision.
mhm,
Like this is your life that you're reaching for. Like I said
Right.
it. I said it. Like if I had a kid, and if I have a kid, they ask me like, what sport would I rather you play? I personally would be like, I'd rather you play
Yeah.
baseball or
I
basketball.
would I would yeah, I would definitely suggest something
Honestly,
else.
that's
I was
you
like,
want the
please
honest
can
truth. That's
you
why I felt so weird. There was a football player, Kyler Murray. He had the chance. He got drafted in the first round to the baseball and drafted in the first round for football, and he picked football. I was like, he liked football more, which is understandable. It's his choice. In my brain, I'm like, damn, you really didn't go to baseball? That's crazy.
It's same thing with Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson was drafted by the Yankees.
Oh yeah,
You
that
know what I
too.
mean? So
Crazy.
and
Yeah.
look at where I mean he's a Super Bowl champ, but his career is on the downside right now.
I mean,
He's in
everyone.
Denver and he's not playing well. I,
Not only that, but like the career longevity in other sports is a lot longer than it is in
and so are
football.
the earning potentials because
That
You earn a
too.
you
lot
look
more
at
playing other sports. Like
straight up,
baseball has no salary cap, and even when you get bad, you can still go play overseas if you really want to play.
and their contracts are guaranteed fully.
Yeah,
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
And also I feel like players in other sports can they can negotiate, well, not negotiate, they can basically sell their skills at a premium for teams that want them,
Hmm.
whereas with football I feel like yeah, there's people who have skills, but it's like a lot of them don't really stand out. It's not like, I mean, obviously, I don't watch, like I told you before, I don't watch that much football, if at all. But from what I've seen, it's like anybody, not anybody, but a lot of guys can be great, but I feel like a lot of them don't really stand out as much.
You know what's funny? I actually kind of agree with you, and I think that's just because of the total amount of players that are in the league. You know what I'm saying? Football players are. I don't. I hate to say it like this, and maybe Tay, you could maybe explain it better than I can, but I feel like football players are almost a dime a dozen. Like there's so that is the turnover rate for football players is so high because the average career is what, only 3.5 years. Tay, am I right in that?
the average career for football players is normally 4 to 5 years,
Hmm.
and that's normally because like as a you're when if you do make it to the league, your rookie contract is normally 4 to 5 years, and you try
Hmm.
to play it out. Then once you get past that 4 to 5 years it's when the league decides that they want to keep you, honestly, to put
And
it
it's
to put it
and
in that
so
sense.
real quick, it's interesting that you say that because Damar Hamlin is only in his second year,
Yeah,
so he's still on his
his
rookie
contract's
contract.
not. Yeah, he's still under his rookie contract, which is another thing. Like even as a football player, I don't think a lot of people don't know this. If you make it to the NFL, you don't your pension isn't guaranteed until you make it to the 4 years either. So if he doesn't play another game or he doesn't play another down, he's like whatever he got for his rookie is not even guaranteed. Like the Bills can be nice and like give
Hmm.
him the money like to help make sure his family is okay, but the league can just decide like no, we don't got to pay you nothing now that you're done.
Right, right. And which kind of takes me into another zone when it comes to like the power dynamic between the NFL players and the NFL owners. Where remember I spoke about this in our group chat with I think with was with Isaiah, or was it with the entire group, where I was like, yo, the NFL has the worst CBA of any sport that I've
Oh,
ever
it does.
seen.
It does. As you want the honest truth, I'll tell you something that a lot of people actually don't know. Before their new contract, if a player retired, like they got at least, I think it was 70,000 a month. That got talked down to about 10,000 to 7,000 a month.
What?
Hmm.
See, Who would agree to that? Why? Why would you agree to that?
There's a
You
lot of
know,
if you want. There's a lot of things that the owners really in the NFL really do behind the things, like behind scenes, from like disability to pension, like the pension amount used to be 30,000, that got talked down to 5,000. Like it's severe reductions
and
that people that if you really don't know or you didn't read into it, you would never know. You would think, oh, these players are going to be okay once they retire. Like, nah, they're gonna most likely have to find other jobs and stuff like that to at least feed their family going forward.
that's I remember that because they just signed their CBA back in like 17 or 18, right? And
Mm-hmm.
they signed a long-term deal, like a 10-year deal or something like that. Whereas in the other sports, they sign shorter term deals, like the MLB. They just finished a lockout, believe it or not. Like they were locked out from December of last year to like April of this year, and they signed like a maybe a 4-year deal or like a 5-year deal, something like that. The NBA, I think their contract is about to expire in a year or two,
So
but their contracts are a lot more structured where it's more beneficial to the player. The NFL just does their players dirty,
dirty.
like straight.
And I don't understand why, considering that injuries like this
All
happen more
They can
frequently.
happen at any given time.
Wouldn't they want to like protect their players so that way they don't have to go through this so often?
You the NFL, tell you the truth, the NFL owners mostly just think about money. Like a
It's
lot
the
of them.
I
bottom line
mean,
with them,
yeah,
yes.
but that's what I'm saying.
Mm,
Also, I guess that goes back to Jay's point about the football players being a dime a dozen. That there's
It's
always a talent pool to pull
yeah,
from
because
where they can just
you
change the cog in the wheel.
Hmm.
so to the honest truth, like even NFL play. Not to say they're a dime a dozen. Like good football players are hard to find because it's to play in the NFL, to play American football for as long as any of these players have played. I'll give an example of let's say Steve Smith, who like now is retired. He's a analyst for NFL.TV. He's been playing.
Hmm.
He played Pee Wee football, football in high school, football in college, NFL. To play for that long, because you Pee Wee football to me starts at like 7 to 8, to my knowledge. I could be wrong on that,
Hmm.
but like to play for that long, there's and to keep taking hits like that. Clear, like every NFL player tells you this. To play this sport, there has to be something wrong with you mentally, anyway. But it's physically, to tell you the truth, it's
Yeah.
not wrong. Like for you to play this sport at any given moment, there has to be something wrong with you. But they're not really a dime a dozen. Like players that make it to the NFL normally don't last that long. It's just that there's so many spots. Because
That too.
you have the offense that has 11 players, you have the defense that has 11 players, you have the special teams that also has their own 11 players for like punts, field goals, and everything else. And then behind that, you have to have another 11 players behind them, just in case one of them gets
That's
so someone can come in just in case like someone needs to take a break at any time. Then you have to have another. Then you have some. Then some positions have more than 11, more than the backup behind them. So you have three, and then behind that you have a practice team that consists of like 10 players. So an NFL team has about
that's
60,
why
60
like
places.
that's what I meant when I was saying that um there's not a lot of, well, I don't mean like not a lot of good players, but it's hard for players to stand out when there's that many people on a team. And yeah, there are those who stand out, but it takes a lot to do so. Whereas like with baseball, I'm pretty sure an entire team can stand out
Hmm.
because like they're given the spotlight, whereas with football it kind of, I feel like they, with the exception of the quarterback, they kind of all like blend together at some point.
No, and when I say I think I want to clarify what I mean by like a dime a dozen. I mean like there's just so many guys. You know what I
Yes.
mean? That
I don't know.
if one
Trust me,
guy
Yeah,
I knew
gets
I knew
hurt,
what
you
you
could
meant.
right.
I got you.
So it's harder for them like producer Jay says, harder for them to stand out, but
It's
it's
hard.
also a little bit it's hard for them to
It's
to
hard
like
for
there's they're gonna
No,
come and go, is what I'm saying. Like one guy gets
unfortunately,
hurt or a guy leaves in free agency, they gonna
mm-hmm,
get the next guy. You know what I'm saying?
mm-hmm.
It's how it
Yeah.
goes in the
Yeah,
NFL.
it's kind of it's you're not wrong. It kind of sucks, like especially for a lot of players, especially like the bigger dudes who have to take the hits, or especially on teams who take hits all the time,
Mm-hmm.
or the ones in the
Mm-hmm.
line. Like,
Mm-hmm.
on do you want to honestly? I'll say this: I give a lot of credit to Tom Brady because when he was in his prime time as a Patriot, he took pay cuts all the time so his teammates could get more contract money.
Yes, he did. He's actually he still does that when even with the Bucks he does that. You know.
He gets more money now, but like he's because he also has like advertising and stuff. But like he always took
Mhm.
whenever if you ever looked up Tom Brady's contracts, he was always like one of the bottom played paid quarterbacks. He was
Yeah,
always
yeah.
like, I'm like, yeah, you can like I can get this, but like what about my boy over there? Like he needs a little more money. I want him to stay with me and make sure that he's okay.
And not only that, but it's going to be conducive to us winning. That's how the Patriots were able to stay good all those years because they had the resources to keep guys that they needed, to sign other guys, to sign their rookies, the guys that they drafted. You know, in total opposite to this guy, Aaron Rodgers, who just basically screwed his what's his name, Jordan, not Jordan Love, the wide receiver
Oh,
that
Devontae
left.
Adams, Devontae
No, the other
Adams,
one. No, it was the other one. The other one. He just
Jordy
left.
Nelson.
No, I think
I
he
can
signed with
only
the
think
Lions. There
Lions.
was one. There was one wide receiver that he had last year that was like his go-to guy,
That was
and
Devontae
they both.
Adams.
You sure it was Devontae Adams?
Devontae Adams was his favorite receiver, and he did not. He didn't screw him over. Well, he did because he wanted more. Like he needed more money, and they're like, we can't give you more money because we gave this dude like half a billion dollars.
Exactly.
And also, he another thing he really didn't. He also didn't like Aaron Rodgers to begin with. Like he honestly did not
True.
like him as a person.
It's kind of a trick bag because it's like you definitely, as a football player, you do not want to be underpaid, like at all. You deserve. I believe football players deserve every penny. After what happened Monday night, I never want to hear another person call athletes spoiled ever again,
I don't
especially
even.
football players. You know what I'm saying? Like you hear all the
I
time
give
that
it up for.
all these,
I get it for these
huh?
players that might actually still like. They're still game. There's a game to be played this week. People got to play games. I give credit. I don't know if I would want to take the field again.
Bro, like you can't tell me that these guys are spoiled. They've earned every single penny that they earn. You know what I'm saying? Through all the practices, the hits, the travel, being away from your family. You know, some guys play on holidays, like the Cowboys play on Thanksgiving every year.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
you
You
can't be
spend time
home.
away from your family.
Some players played
Some
on
guys
Christmas this year too. They
that's
couldn't be
what I'm
home.
saying. So, and like we spoke about before, the NFL does them dirty. So of course, get your coins. You know what I'm saying? Know your worth, add tax to it. You know what I'm saying? At the same time as like,
I like that
you know,
saying. It's really great.
know your worth, add tax to it. Okay. But when in football, because it's a salary cap sport, it's hard to manage that, especially from a financial standpoint. Um, what is it that you wanted to get into, Tay?
Oh, that made me angry.
Yes.
Can I am now? Let's this whole situation. Everyone knows like this is a terrible situation. It's something that doesn't happen that often. And as someone, like I said, I am someone who played the sport. I have taken the same hit that put this dude that made this dude collapse. I taken that hit in practice and in the game. So the fact that there are people coming out right now saying that this only happened because he was vaccinated for COVID is crazy to me.
Talk about a left field
There are
like
people like
throw
no,
like
there are people, and I've seen this all on social media, like from Instagram to TikToks to Twitter. I'm not on Twitter, but like people send me videos from Twitter. There are people really writing like yeah, he got his booster the week before that game, and like
Mm.
this, and he's like, see, this is what happens when you get vaccinated. This could happen to you. I'm like, no, it can't. Side effects
Yeah,
of one of the
that
side effects of the vaccine was not cardiac arrest from a football game.
Bruh.
I remember I saw that video that you sent in the chat, Jay, and it threw me off when I watched it because the one of the first things that the guy was talking about, he said it has nothing to do with vaccines, and I scratched my head. I was like, people brought that up.
Yes.
Yes,
I
dude.
was like, how does this even
I
relate?
can't.
Like
I
it made no sense.
There's been a TikTok on TikTok. There's been a doctor who's made 4 videos because someone keeps calling them out. Like it's like with this vaccine, there was someone on Twitter that was pretending to be a doctor. He took a doctor's name and put a profile picture, and he's like, "I'm the doctor for the safety." Like, and I gave him the booster on December 26th.
You know,
And
it's
then
funny
no,
because
it gets worse. It gets worse because like that doctor, the person they show on Twitter, once they go to your Twitter, that profile is now deleted. That Twitter doesn't exist. And
mm,
then when you
Of
look up the
course.
doctor's name, who actually because people screenshot it, the person who had was like a beard, was a young man with sunglasses and a beard. The doctor's name he used is some really old dude that's bald, that's wear glasses. When you go to look up his name, so like, it is crazy. It's also there's another thing. Go Jay, because there's something else that
no,
also made me upset.
well, what
I thought you were gonna bring up the Skip
I thought he
Bayless
was
stuff.
too,
I'm pissed
but
off at that as well. I was gonna bring that up later. It was that and the other thing that people were. Another thing I was gonna bring up that the people were sending this. They're sending T Higgins death threats.
oh
You
yeah,
don't
yeah, I
think
heard
he
about
does?
Oh
that.
You don't
yeah,
think
I
he
heard
feels
that
as
about
bad as you?
as well.
He like to. There's sometimes where you go into certain situations like I gotta hurt this person. Like when you go into fights, boxing matches, UFC, you're prepared to hurt somebody. You're never prepared to kill anybody. So for him to go into a football game thinking, and he's been trained to like, yo, if someone comes into you, just drag them along. Like you gotta run at full force all the time. You think he woke up in the morning? You don't think he don't wake up in the morning and think like, yo, I really just hit some dude in the chest. And they had cardiac arrest. I could have possibly killed him in front of his family.
Mm,
And
mm.
he has a whole family with kids. You don't think he doesn't look at his mom, talk to his mom and anyone else like I really could have killed this dude. Like that's a whole thing he can go through. And
There
people are
was a
sending him death threats like this is your fault. Like you don't think he doesn't feel this pain?
People are
picture
stupid.
of him walking out of the stadium. I think with his mother, and he was kind of like messed up, like yo, like thinking like yo, I may have just killed this dude. You know what I mean? And people are sending him death threats. That to me, that was weird. I'm like, yo, what?
How can you
There's no need for
send
that.
how can you send someone death threats? Like he can feel as bad as you can feel. Like you might as like you saw it on TV. He's on the field. He's already traumatized as it can be. And
Right.
now he has to wake up in the morning to deal with this too. Skip Bayless on another I don't even want Skip Bayless on some bullshit.
So okay, my thing with Skip was I read the 3 tweets and I watched Undisputed the next morning
Mm-hmm.
because he did the show solo.
Yeah, because
The Tuesday morning show.
Shannon Sharp didn't want to be in
He
the thing.
wasn't
He
there.
didn't want to be there.
Right. He didn't show up that morning, so Skip did the show solo. He explained his position. I heard him out. He explained why he posted what he posted. The first couple of tweets, the way that okay, so let me pull up his Twitter real fast because I don't want to misquote him, right? Skip Bayless on Twitter. Okay.
I don't did he delete that tweet?
No, he didn't. So that's
No, he
another
didn't.
part of the controversy, right?
I mean
Let me see if I
he has been known to
um
always he has been known to stick to his guns, so
okay, so the first tweet, which was at 9:11 that night, right? It says, not exactly sure what happened to Damar Hamlin. Players on both teams are shaken. Ambulance out on the field. CPR administered. Can't remember play being stopped for this length of time. Just said a prayer for him and his family, right? So the first tweet to me sounds like the perspective of a fan because that's how everybody else feels like, yo, what just happened? The ambulance is on the
Yeah.
field. Everybody's all shaken up. What's going on? You don't know what happened to him. Then the second tweet was again seemed like I'll just read it first. It says, I've seen so many horrific injuries suffered on football fields, yet never have I seen a reaction like this. In every other situation I witnessed or covered, the game always went on fairly quickly. The attitude was, hey, that's football. For these players, this was different, and different is in all caps. That was 9:24 p.m., right?
Mm-hmm.
So 13 minutes later. So the third tweet is what really got everyone up in an uproar, right?
Oh, word.
Uh, he says at 9:30 p.m., right? No doubt the NFL is considering postponing the rest of this game, but how? This late in the season, a game of this magnitude is crucial to the regular season outcome, which suddenly seems so irrelevant. So that part got everybody up in an uproar. And the way that he explained it was that that third tweet, he was thinking more along the lines of how is the NFL going to handle the situation because this is such a clusterfuck that how are they going to go about this, and yet none of this means anything because this man's life is on the line right now.
Mm-hmm.
He definitely worded it very poorly.
Poor as I don't know what.
Yeah, I reread. I kept rereading that tweet, and I kept trying to decipher how, because I saw that tweet first before I saw the other
Hmm.
ones. So I kept trying to decipher. Okay, and then I saw the following tweets where he tried to describe what he was trying to talk about, and I, for the life of me, could not figure out how he thought this was the right way to say what he wanted to say.
Hmm.
And
It just didn't make sense, even from like a structural point in a sentence. Like, you don't say how in the way that he said it. Granted, it's text, so it's easier
it
to
doesn't.
misconstrue
It
what
doesn't come out the
the
way.
intent was.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but if you see the response towards it and it's not what you thought it was gonna be,
Clearly, you did
you
something.
need to backpedal, delete it, and do what you need to make sure that people know what you meant. Don't keep it up if that's not what you meant.
So his next tweet, which was an well, not an hour later, but like it was at 10:22 p.m. Right? He said was after all the backlash he got, he said nothing is more important than that young man's health. That was the point of my last tweet. I'm sorry if that was misunderstood, but his health is all that matters. Again, everything else is irrelevant. I prayed for him and will continue to. So the way that I deciphered the 9:30 tweet about everything being so irrelevant, he was saying, okay, the NFL has to postpone this game. They have to. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? They
Okay.
have to postpone the game. There's nothing, nobody, one, like we said earlier, nobody's going to want to play now. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's so shook up and traumatized, they're not going to want to play football. So the league has no choice but to suspend and possibly postpone the game. How are they going to make this up? It's a big cluster, like we said, it's a big clusterfuck. How are they going to do this? It's late in the season. We only had one week left in the regular season, and this was a huge game, right? This is a big game. It had a lot of playoff implications to it. How are they going to make this up? Who cares? None of that matters now because this kid is really about to die. He can possibly die tonight. That's the way that I understand.
I feel like he was trying to be rhetorical
Right.
about it.
Yes.
But he was saying like, "Oh, but how are they gonna do this?" And it's like, it doesn't matter. He was kind of like answering
Mm-hmm.
himself, but I felt like
It
that
was
was the wrong
he.
way to go about it.
It
Uh,
was tone deaf.
yeah.
It was
Yeah,
tone deaf. Very tone deaf. And what's his name? When Shannon came back on the show Wednesday,
Okay.
right? Came back on the show Wednesday, and he as he started to explain his absence, um he said that he wanted Skip to take the tweet down, and Skip cut him off and said, no, I'm not going to take it down. And they kind of got into a little back and forth about it. Yeah, exactly, Tay. Yeah, it was a bit of a heated exchange, but this is what Skip does. He's that type of person. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like there's a time and place when you're talking about
No.
if you're talking about a regular football game with like if you're arguing like stats or a score or whatever, penalties, whatever, when it pertains to the actual game itself, fine. But when it comes to somebody's life hanging in the balance, I feel like you need to have some sensitivity,
Mm.
and he didn't. He traded it like anything else, and I feel like that's where the backlash
Absolutely.
is.
Yeah,
It's
that's the no. It's deserved because I'm like, dude, you could have worded that so much better. What I would have, this is just me. What I would have said was, look, the NFL has to suspend this game, and none of this even matters anymore because this young man's life is on the line. Who cares if it's a late
Yeah.
season game? Who cares about the playoffs? None of that matters right now. This kid's life is on the line.
that right there. That's how he should have put it. Because right there is how you layer it. But there's a way. There, I don't even know. I got nothing.
How old is Skip?
He's in his 70s.
Okay, so then you know what? Maybe he doesn't know how to use social media that
This
well.
man's been
Well,
on
he's always
TV.
tweeting.
Man, this man's been on TV for
But that
longest,
doesn't.
and he always
I
has
mean,
to.
there's a way, but that's what I'm saying. Like, it's easier for him to speak stuff than it is to type things out.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? I mean, I know with my like grandparents,
I'm
like
sh-
they don't know how to
I'm sure
text.
his defense. I didn't. I like Jay watched his defense or heard his defense. I'm not gonna listen. I'm not gonna look it up because I don't want to look that show. I don't watch that show. I kind of stopped watching like First Take and shows like that a long time ago.
Really?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
mostly because like it's you can always have your own opinion, but like some of the stuff they use is kind of ridiculous to me sometimes. That's honestly why I
Hmm.
don't like watching certain shows anymore. That's why like I told you don't watch ESPN. And you were like I'm stuck.
Oh yeah,
I was too
he's
listen.
like
I
you
was
were
too deep.
glued.
I didn't go, yo, bro. I didn't go to bed till like 1 or 2 o'clock that night because I'm like, yo, I want to know what happens to this kid because
If you're,
one of the things,
I'm always a fan of watching Sports Center because like the analysts just show you highlights and they just talk about the game. But like other
right,
shows, like First Take, Around the Horn, because I used to watch all these shows. Some of
get
their
up and
opinions, some of their opinions are just opinions, like to make you riled up and stuff about sports. It's just to get you to watch. Like some of them actually said in their own things, like when they have their own shows, they're like, oh, that thing I said on TV, I really didn't believe that. I just had to say it to just go against the other person. Like that's why. That's why. Like they always that show is just pretty much to play devil. They're supposed to play devil advocate. That's why I said it. It's just a,
It's
yeah.
entertainment.
That's why. Like when I tell you I see stuff on Bleachers Report, I'm like it's because I'd rather just go straight to this as much as the sources I can get without getting lost in Twitter.
you know, I can dig it, but since ESPN carried the game, you
Yeah, they
know,
would. Yeah, they
they
would.
carried the game, so I was like, let me maybe they'll get first information because
Now some of
they were
them
right in the thick of it.
Some of them were getting first information, but a lot of it was coming out on Twitter and Bleacher. Like I told you on Bleacher's Report that I got this because I think I told you I think when I woke up that morning I was like, hey, they said that his vitals are coming back to normal,
Hmm.
and that was from the player's representative and their mom. Like they said,
Right, right, right.
and then today when they got the report that he actually woke up came from his teammates.
Okay.
He
Yeah,
went
man.
to, I wonder, I
It's
wonder if they're gonna get. I wonder if they're gonna send him to Buffalo.
so okay. Here's another question I got for y'all. If y'all are him, right? If you're Damar Hamlin, put yourself in Damar Hamlin's shoes. Do you play another NFL game in your life, or do you pack it in and say, you know what, I'm done. I can't risk anything else.
Part of me wants to.
That's
Part of me wants to say yes that I probably retire and don't want to do this ever again. But another part of me is like, well, I got this contract to do it, and I need to get this pension, and I got to do it for 2 more years so I can at least have a pension.
But here's my thing, right?
I, I
Um,
I'm just putting myself in his shoes. Like if like me personally, if I made it to the NFL and I got to play, this is my second year. This happened to me, and like the doctors tell me I'm cleared. Like I got no complications. Like I just made it through like the hardest battle of my life with nothing else. Like I'll have my full function. Like I can like nothing ever happened to me. Part of me is going like, okay, do I keep playing because I still have this contract, and to get the disability and pension that's guaranteed to me when I do decide to retire, I have to play at least 4 years. Do I go for those next 2 years to get that to make sure I have some sort of support going forward? So that's like
Producer J.
it's a lot.
It's a tough situation. I said it in the chat, but before when you asked it, like if there's nothing wrong with him like long term, if he has like everything is okay, like bodily functions and his brain is okay, then I feel like he can return. But I think what like Tayshawn said is like just ride those 2 years out and then that's it.
I'm just playing the sport again. That's going to be a hell of a mental toll.
That's one of the reasons why for me, if I'm him, I'd retire. I'm not gonna lie, I'd retire. Even now, like bro, like just
Well, would he be able to is the
even
thing. Like
you don't have to. He'd be able to retire, but he just won't get his pension. And retirement means like I'm not gonna play anymore. You know what I'm saying?
I think he like as a rookie contract, you do have some money guaranteed, but he won't get the full amount. Like I think he's earned like 9,000. Like right now, he's earned about $900,000. Like just as for himself, and like he'll get whatever is fully guaranteed. Whatever's fully guaranteed to his contract is going to be guaranteed to him. But for him to get all his other stuff, like his playing bonuses, his signing bonuses, things like that are in the contract, like that's a thing he's gonna have to do. But I'm on the idea of like, where's my mental head gonna be? Like if I go back on that field.
So that's what I was gonna get to. I'd retire because I know that first of all, it's gonna be a long road just to recovery. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna have to get all the heart exams done, all his lung tests, everything. Even if he gets a clean bill of health, then he's gonna get him back. He's gonna have to get himself back into football shape, right? That's gonna take a mental toll on him too. Then the moment he gets on the field in that first practice, gonna be scared shitless. And then every game after that, right? Every time you step on the field, if he's about to get hit,
oh my god,
he's about to say, bro,
could he like switch out? Like maybe just like stay on the team, but maybe not start.
Yeah, he can be
that's a possibility.
He could be a bench player. He can join the practice squad. But still, he would still have to go to those practices and like prepare.
Right. Yeah.
It's the same thing for like
I feel like that's a lot less pressure than to actually perform on the field for games.
Well, I don't know. But even if he decided to retire, bro, just his story is gonna be a good segue for him to find a second career. He might become an ESPN analyst.
You can write a book.
I'm getting stuff off this. If I make it clean bill of health, everything, best believe I'm taking this as far as I can take it. I'm being a motivational speaker and everything.
He can do that. He can be he can go on a media tour, giving interviews left and right, like, yo, how did it feel? He could be a sports
spoken word, like lectures.
He can be a sports medicine advocate where he can, don't give his body to science and being examined for, a specimen for, certain sports medicine topics. Like this guy, who was the quarterback who had like 7 surgeries on his leg because he tore his leg up?
Oh, is it Joe Theismann?
No, the other one. This was like 3 or 4 years ago. Dude had a compound fracture, and he had to have like 7 surgeries. They almost amputated his leg. Yes, you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, he had bro.
I didn't know they amputated his leg. I know he had a compound.
Amputated his leg.
Oh yeah, that's right. They did. They discussed that, and then honestly, praise to him. He actually got back on the field a year later, and the same thing.
Damn.
I don't know how, but maybe because he was a quarterback. The quarterback is a lot more protected than the other positions.
No, I want you to know there was also. I don't know if you heard about this one. There was a player called Ryan Shazier, where he was another defensive player.
Right?
I don't know if he's a doctor, but he took he was going to deliver a hit, and on the hit he broke his neck and became paralyzed on the field.
Is that the dude from Rutgers?
He might
The
be
one
from
that's in
our
the wheelchair
no
now?
different dude. This dude actually that player didn't make it to the NFL. I do know who you're talking
Okay.
about, but I honestly think I know who that is. But no, he played for Pittsburgh Steelers. Like this was literally in the middle of a game. He went for a tackle, and then bam, he couldn't feel anything no more.
Mm,
And it took about 3 years for him. Like it took him a whole year because like he was able to gain back functions in his body, and then like the next at the end of the last year, he actually was able to walk back on the field and touch the spot where he lay lifeless. Like there was
mm.
a whole camera crew that watched him. Like and he walked as much as he could, and you can tell it was a struggle for him to walk.
See.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm Hamlin. If we think about it, I'm only 24 years old if I'm him, right?
Yeah,
And
and I'm 24
my
years in a coma.
basically my NFL legacy is pretty much written. No matter what goes forward, even if I decide to retire, they'll say, "Listen, he almost literally gave his life for the game." Or if he decides to continue to play, it'll be a great comeback story. Me, I'm taking the short thing. I'm retiring. I'm saying, look, I can go do something else with my life. Not many people can still say they played in the NFL. I lived my dream. Ultimately, it wasn't in the cards for me because of a health concern. I'd rather live. But that's just me. You know what I'm saying? That's just me.
I, I'm not gonna.
It's like I said, it's not an easy
I know me.
decision,
I know I
and I
couldn't do
mean,
it.
he doesn't have to worry about that right now. He just has to worry about recovery.
Right. But eventually he'll have to come to that bridge and say, okay, where do I go from here? And hopefully, he
I
makes
hope.
the best decision for him.
Yeah, I hope he makes the best decision for himself, and I hope he has a support system that's going to help him make that decision.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, because it's gonna be a long
Because I'm
thing.
not gonna lie to you, even thinking about going, if I got hit like that, I'm getting shivers just thinking about even trying to get back on the field in general. Like if I gotta
Well, who knows?
walk to a football field, I'm already shaking.
See?
Yeah,
And who knows? Maybe the Buffalo Bills will be gracious to him and, let him have a different role in the organization if he decides to stop playing. Who,
Possibility.
yeah,
who knows? We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
He is 24. He could always be a coach.
It
I'll
could be
never.
something, you know.
Um,
Do either one of y'all have a uh tonight's grind what grinds my gears? Y'all got something for it?
Fuck these people who sent that player death threats, and fuck these anti-vaxxers for trying to use this to politicize stuff. Who the fuck are you? You don't know how angry those two things make me. That like this player could have really died for nothing, and you're like not for nothing. He really could have died on the football field, and you're gonna take this as a chance to pass a Reddick that like this is not everything is politics. Not everything
yeah,
has to be politicized and anything. And if you think that, if you're so far gone that everything that happens to anyone is because of their vaccine or they're Republican, they're Democrat, they're liberal or conservative, I need you to go somewhere. I need you to go take some time with yourself or a therapist or anything that can help you out and I want you to realize how did you get here? Because there's never a point in anything because that was never a thing. This was never a thing where I'm like, oh no, I stubbed my toe. And someone's like, it's because you're a liberal. Like, what the fuck does that got to do with anything? Like, my house caught on fire because you're a conservative. That has nothing to do with nothing. It was a stove fire. It was a gas fire. Like, it just happens. Like, it wouldn't happen if you wasn't conservative. That's not all how that works. Like, I need you if you think like that, I really need you to get some help. Seek it personally or take some time with yourself. Go to the Beck and be with the monks to get to your mental space to find something out. Because there's no way in your mind that should. There's nothing in this world that should make you think everything has to do with politics. Nothing.
And just to piggyback off you say just a little bit, this is why like certain conspiracy theories, I'm just like, ugh, like here we go. Everything's not a conspiracy theory. Everything is not some elaborate plot by the white man to destroy you.
Nothing. Not everything we do has. Not everything that happens to us has to do with the government. Some shit just happens. You
Things
gotta.
just
yeah.
happen.
Some things are just a coincidence.
There's a like last week there was a bird that got into my house. I didn't blame the government. I didn't say the government put the chip in the bird to spy on me. No, there was just a fucking bird in my house and I had to catch it. We had to catch it. That's all that fucking happens.
And sometimes these things, and that goes to what happened with him. Apparently, it just like with that 1 in a million chance where you get
Yeah,
hit
that
right at the wrong time in your heartbeat and it just stops.
Yeah, that's what they
You
believe.
know,
I wish I knew the name of it, but it's like, yeah, like if you get hit in your chest at a certain point of a heartbeat, like your whole body can like shut down. It can lead to a cardiac arrest.
exactly.
The fear
So
that I honestly, as a former football player watching that, as someone who actually who did that tackle, because you're taught that too as a defensive player. If someone's like coming into you like that, you're just supposed to like wrap them up and like try to roll them on the floor or try to take the ball away. So everyone did their part, and it just so happened to happen like this. So you can't even say like, "Oh, it was planned." Like, no, a coincidence. It's just a terrible coincidence.
right, like it seemed like a routine tackle, especially because he got up.
He
That
got
was the
up.
even crazy.
He
He
got up
stood on
so
his feet for like a
excited.
good right. He stood on his feet for like a good 2 seconds, and next thing you know,
Bam.
he's gone. You know, so
yeah.
Adrenaline's a good thing.
yeah. Tay, remind the people of
What's up?
our whatchamacallits.
If you want to get in contact with us, you can reach us at Instagram at excuse_me_brother with the A, not the hard ER, because y'all racist. If you want to find us on TikTok, it's excuse me brother with the ER, because Jeremy's racist. If you're listeners on YouTube, please like and subscribe. The YouTube channel is Excuse Me Brother. I don't know if it's a podcast channel or just Excuse Me Brother. I gotta look at that again. My brain is in a whole nother place right now. But please, thank you. Like, please subscribe, like, leave comments. If you want to reach out to us, reach out email. You can send us things to talk about at
Topics. Yeah.
excuse me brother podcast at gmail.com. We do read them. If you even have a suggestion for an idea on Instagram, just DM it to us. We'll read it. Well, we probably, I don't know if it's good. We'll think about it. I'll let you know. We'll give you a shout out if we like it. If we like
And
it.
also we have the Facebook page too.
Oh, sorry, forgot about the Facebook page.
Yes.
Is it that
Yes, we
also
have a
excuse me
Facebook.
brother?
So it's all in the link tree.
Yes, the link tree is on the Instagram page. Is it on the YouTube page?
It's in the description. Yes, in the description.
Okay.
We'll
Like,
try.
share, and subscribe. And we talk to y'all soon. Listen, don't let your sons play football.
There's no,
or at least strongly advise against it.
no violence.
Put them in baseball.
No
Put them in basketball. Or
No violence.
no violence this week. Just prayers that he recovers fully and can live his life the best that he wants to.
Yes.
100%.
And he'll give a great testimony when he fully recovers. You know. All right. Peace, love, happiness, soul, righteousness, all that good stuff.